The old man sat in the sagging recliner, staring at the cracked TV screen flickering with static. His name was Earl Tuttle, 73 years old. A widower with a face like a roadmap of bad decisions, deep lines carved by whiskey and regret. The house smelled of mildew and stale cigarettes, a two-bedroom shack on the edge of Bangor, Maine, where the woods pressed too close and the shadows had teeth. Earl wasn't alone, though. Not tonight. The thing in the corner wouldn't let him be. It wasn't a ghost, not in the chain-rattling, bedsheet floating way folks imagined. No, this was something else, a shape that didn't hold still, a smear of darkness with eyes like wet marbles, glinting when the TV light hit just right. Earl called it the Watcher, because that's all it did at first. Watched him. For weeks now. Ever since he dug up that rusted tin box in the backyard, the one with the bones and the scribbled note that said, "Leave it be." He hadn't. Stupid old fool. At first, Earl figured it was guilt playing tricks, too many late nights drowning in Jim Beam. Too many years ignoring the whispers about the land he bought cheap. But the Watcher didn't fade with sobriety. It grew sharper. Bolder. Last night, it had spoken, a voice like gravel grinding under a boot. "What do you fear, Earl?" He hadn't answered. Couldn't. His tongue felt like a dead thing in his mouth. Tonight, though, the air was thicker, the static louder, and the Watcher wasn't just watching. It leaned closer, its edges bleeding into the room like ink in water. Earl's chest tightened. He clutched the arms of the recliner, the fabric worn to threads under his calloused fingers. "What do you want?" he rasped, voice barely a whisper. The thing didn't move, but those eyes, they bored into him, peeling back layers of memory like skin off a carcass. "What do you fear?" it asked again. Slower, each word a nail in his skull. Earl's mind raced, unspooling every terror he'd ever known. The car crash that took Ellie, his wife, leaving her twisted in the wreckage. The cancer that gnawed his brother hollow. The dark, endless nothing he pictured waiting after death. But those weren't the answer. The Watcher didn't flinch. Then it hit him, a cold spike through his gut. The one fear he'd buried so deep it had fused with his bones. Not death, not pain, not even hell. It was knowing. Knowing what he'd done, what he'd let happen. The night Ellie died, he'd been drunk at the wheel, swerving home from the bar. He told the cops it was a deer, a slick road, anything but the truth. He'd walked away with scratches. She hadn't walked away at all. The Watcher's eyes widened, gleaming now, hungry. Yes, it hissed, and the room shivered. The static on the TV screeched, warping into a sound like Ellie's scream that night. High and jagged. Earl's heart slammed against his ribs. He wanted to run, but his legs were lead, his hands trembling claws. The thing didn't move closer, it didn't have to. It was in him now, rooting through his shame, feasting on it. And that's when Earl understood, with a clarity that burned. Ghosts don't fear the living. They don't fear crosses or holy water or salt lines. What makes a ghost fear is the truth, the kind that strips them bare. The kind they can't outrun. The Watcher wasn't here to haunt him. It was here to show him. To make him see what he'd made it, a mirror of his own rot. The lights flickered out. The TV died with a bop. In the silence, Earl heard his own sobbing, wet and broken, and the Watcher's voice, soft now, almost tender. "You're mine, Earl. Forever." When the neighbors found him the next morning, slumped in that recliner, eyes wide and empty, they said it was a heart attack. But the coroner couldn't explain the scratches on his arms, deep and deliberate, spelling "I know" in jagged, bloody lines.